Okay, we are recording. We are good. Okay, so sorry. Would you all please say your names and spellings and titles for embarrassing parents?
Sure. I'm Josh Anderson, JOSHANDERSON, and I'm the writer and director and co-producer of Embarrassing Parents Anonymous.
Perfect.
I'm James Kwong, JAMES space KWONG, and I'm the co-producer of Embarrassing Parents Anonymous.
I'm Ben Wood, BENWOOD, and I play Ben, BEN, in Embarrassing Parents Anonymous, EPA.
I'm glad you keep saying that because we just kind of keep abbreviating things and we just call it embarrassing parents, embarrassing parents. So I'm glad you're EPA. It's good. I like that.
Strong.
Great. It's very strong. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. I'll intro it and just say hi and who I am, and then we'll just dive in and just chat for about 10 minutes or so.
Sounds good.
Okay. So thank you all for being here. We are here for the Q&A for Embarrassing Parents Anonymous. I'm Lauren Sloan, the initiative's producer at SeriesFest. I am thrilled to have our creators and cast here as well, Ben. Thank you guys so much for joining. I just wanted to, first of all, congratulate you on an incredible project. And I'm sure that our audience virtually will enjoy it as much as I did. So Josh, sorry, who came up with the concept? You guys all kind of like played a lot of roles. There's producers, we got actors, we got directors in the mix. How did this concept kind of come to be? Let's start with the genesis of the project first.
Sure. Genesis of the project was so I teach kids to act every Sunday, and I have been doing so for like 5 years now.
Wow.
And this project initially started when a kid came to class at the beginning of term, and she'd just come from a birthday party where her father had embarrassed her. And she came in, and it was like a heavy deal that she was talking about. To me as a grown-up, I was like, that's kind of funny. But for the kids, it was like a real serious thing. And instead of the other kids in the classroom kind of having a laugh at it or having a go or anything like that, they actually all kind of came together and started talking about their own parent or sister or brother or grandparent or aunt or uncle, and they actually started talking about what their parents do. And in midway through that class, we all kind of looked at each other, and these kids are, between the ages of like 9 and 12. Mm-hmm. We then went, we think this is a play. So I wrote it as a play initially. We put it up on the floor and, showed their parents, and it was kind of showing kids that were performing in it as well, that like the parents' side of things too, not to kind of just bash parents the whole time.
Yeah.
And then after that, I showed it to James, and James and I then sort of developed the idea and turned it into a pilot script, and that's kind of how the project began.
And Josh and James, had you guys worked together before?
Yeah. So we were in a comedy group together, and we've been performing for a while, and we made a couple of things, but this was the first pilot that we made together, so that was quite exciting.
Yeah. And so Ben and I go back a few years as well, so we've worked together as actors before, and we're good friends outside of the film anyway. So originally when we wrote the idea,
Surprise.
BEN, yeah, WOOD.
That's it.
Right? Yeah, great. So when I actually wrote the piece, I named the father Ben because I had Ben in my mind when I was making it, because he, there's as I'm sure people will see when they see the film, there is a real kind of nuance and beauty to Ben's acting that I like. Really, it's just a joy to work with. So, yeah.
That's very flattering from a new friend.
Yeah, I know. I haven't made any friends for months.
Yeah. Well, you sound like you have one for a while now.
I hope
So did you just approach Ben immediately and just say, I wrote this for you? How did that come to be?
Yeah, so after I showed James, we developed the idea and kind of went, okay, this is on lock. I spoke to James quite extensively about Ben and Ben's work, and then we approached Ben with the project, and you know, I don't know, was it like you like I kind of brought it to you and
yeah, I mean, I guess when anybody comes to you and says, "Hey, I've written a character literally named after you," to kind of feature as an embarrassing father, I like turned around to my 3 kids and took off the superhero costume that I was wearing and kind of said, "Hey guys, Daddy's gonna be in a movie." And but Josh and I have we've had a really good rapport since we did a play together years and years and years ago, and I think he's one of the smartest blokes trotting around. So if somebody's going to put their kind of trust and creative faith in you in that way, it makes you feel pretty good, and also it makes you want to make sure that you do the best job possible for them, because everybody's got a little bit more heart invested than if you just crop dust a casting session.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the concept to me, I feel like it's very original. It's very sweet and touching, but that first shot of you, Ben, when you come up with like the chopsticks, that's like you get me. Like it's just like I'm immediately in, and I'm in love with your character, and you got me hook, line, and sinker. And I think that's.
I didn't even know they were shooting at that point.
Oh, really?
That was, I mean, that was quite funny because that was we were shooting in an active restaurant. They allowed us a back corner, and James had to negotiate quite.
Yeah, they weren't pleased about us that day. I had to pull out my rusty Cantonese to get the waiters on board again, because we'd agreed, but they'd kind of forgotten we were coming. And they were like, actually, we might have a restaurant now. And they were quite like, okay.
But I mean, your performance really, you're not a small person. You are you're a big dad. But you're just like a big lovable bear in this project, and I love that. And I think you really. And I want to talk about the girl that played your daughter, Laura. Where did you find her? Because you guys had such great chemistry, and she seemed to just kind of have this not intellect, but like a spirit that was older than her years. She was an incredible actress. How did you guys end up with her?
So funnily enough, she actually played Lara in the play when
the
original production, and I don't know if it was a subconscious thing, but there's a great similarity between Ben and Cleona, and I think that once we did like a little chemistry read with Ben and Cleo, and pretty much from the get-go they kind of hit it off, which was really, really wonderful to kind of have, particularly on set, because I don't know, Ben kind of became a bit of a surrogate dad for her for the week, which was really nice.
Well, she's the same age as my oldest daughter, and she also has a younger sibling.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got 3 kids, and they go from 11 down to 4.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of talked a little bit about those dynamics and that kind of stuff, and so I was really comfortable in terms of how to relate to a 12-year-old girl. But at the same time, watching her with her little brother reminded me of my daughter with her brother, and it was really quite sweet. And then finally, when we had like a little cast and crew and family screening,
mm-hmm.
she got to meet my kids, and it was this like, it kind of, I don't know, whatever Josh picked up might have been the energy between everybody. Was, all of a sudden I was watching her playing with my kids, and as we drove away, they were like, "Can we see her again?" Like, it was quite sweet. But also, she's a more ferocious is probably the better word, ferocious acting talent. And sometimes, I've been doing this for almost 20 years, I guess. Sometimes when you're sitting down with somebody that's younger than the amount of time you've been acting,
mm-hmm.
and you think to yourself, "Oh my God, I'm getting acted off the screen here. I need to ratchet this up." And you said it before, that some sort of kind of like worldliness or kind of an old soul about her that is.
She's been here before, that kind of feeling. When you, particularly when you work with an actor like Cleona, she's just the sort of actor that, like, you give her a note and it just sticks. But not only that, she extends on it, she builds on it. like she'll find things that aren't there on the page, which for someone who, she was like literally just 12 at the time when we shot this, like for someone at that age to be able to act that well and be able to like take on notes and grow a role like that is pretty rare. So yeah, we're really, really lucky to have Cleo too.
Great. James, why did you get involved in a project with a bunch of kids? Don't you know that that's like rule number one? If someone hands you like animals and kids, you say, no, I'm not going to produce this movie, and you walk away. So what drew you to the project?
Well, I think first and foremost, it was that it was beautifully written. Josh had done an incredible job on the script for the play, and then it became very clear very quickly that this would be a great pilot. And so working together with Josh on this was a great thing. And Josh and I are very good friends, and it's been quite wonderful working with him professionally now to actually like develop a new and an amazing idea. So that was a big reason why. And I don't know, I think I like a challenge. This was something that also gave me an excuse to walk away from a more corporate life. So, kids or no kids, I was going to take that opportunity. So yeah, it's a wonderful project. And we had an incredible group of kids that Josh had been teaching for so long, and that helped bring a really great energy to the shoot. And I can't say that we had that many.
I'm very sorry.
This is the world of Zoom. I like it.
Literally the world of Zoom. Keep the top
keep us on our toes. I love it.
He'll just leave it in the door. Sorry.
Stop. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So we were talking about, you were talking about the kids that had been in Josh's class. So were the extras, all the kids had been your students?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. So like I said before, I've been working with kids for about 5 years. And when I was younger and I was their age, I always got really frustrated because I always felt like people were talking down to me when I was acting. Like, because I didn't feel like a lot of the time when grown-ups were working with me, they didn't think as a kid I had the language or like the ability to kind of like process notes like that. So when I started my program, I've always treated kids like adults, like, they're responsible, like they can take on notes, like, and if a kid is committed, then like they're actually often better than a lot of adults in the room. Not you. So as a result, there was like this great ensemble that came into the class and on set, and all the kids were super respectful, they were super professional, and like super easy to work with. Yeah. So,
and very good, like really good actors. Because Josh is their teacher really shocked me, what's her name? The girl that plays the facilitator.
Kate, the character.
Sasha.
Yeah.
She
was. Yeah.
Incredible.
She nailed it.
Yeah. It was a real pleasure to watch and and see them, the next generation. Coming through. Yeah.
I love that. I wanted to know more about Kate or Sasha's character, because the last we see of her, she's like locking up and then just kind of sadly walks away. I'm like, what episode 2? What happens with her?
Okay, so you want spoilers?
Well, wait. Have you written it or have you produced it? Am I going to be ruining it for other people?
We haven't produced it, but we've essentially got the whole season, season mapped out. We've got we've got a very clear trajectory. We've got a show bible. We've got everything. Like everything's kind of ready to go.
Okay.
So if you're cool with me spoiling it, I can.
Please, I want to know what happens to her.
So you'll find that when people watch the movie, you'll notice that there are 3 characters in the film that have an element of yellow to their costume. Those 3 characters are the people that know about both sides. So they know that there is an EPA meeting, and they know that all the parents are going to the bar next door to play board games and embrace their childhood, so to speak. So those characters are Kate, played by Sasha. You've also got Jane's character, who's Clarissa, is the character's name. And then you've also got Olivia, who works in the bar. You'll notice that there's a similarity between Olivia and Kate.
Okay.
So the girl that runs the EPA meeting, her older sister runs the parents' bar next door. And the backstory there is quite tragic. Essentially, Kate's and Olivia's parents were killed in a car accident. And the reason why she started the EPA meetings was because the last conversation she had with her parents was around something embarrassing that they had done. So she uses the meetings as a way to vicariously live through other kids and help guide them, I guess, and help them kind of talk very openly about how they're feeling with their parents so that they can essentially not make the mistake. And I use that very carefully, like for want of a better word, the same mistake that she did.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry to bring be a downer.
It's a comedy, Josh.
It's a comedy.
It's hysterical. Well, we don't have too much more time. We've been kind of chit-chatting. I could chat all day, but I do want to ask, what's the next step for the project? When can I see what happens to Kate? And are you trying to get the rest of the season going, or just kind of seeing what happens with the pilot and let the world go back to normal and go from there?
Yeah, I think for us, like we're, obviously like doing something like SeriesFest is a really great opportunity for us because, we get to kind of, meet other creatives that are doing the same thing as us. And like, we're, hopefully like, using what we have already, we're going to be able to sort of meet some new people through this festival, but also like we've started other conversations elsewhere to kind of like get something like this off the ground. We're super confident in a project like this because it's, leading up to COVID, I think a lot of everything you saw on television, well, not everything, but a lot of things you see on television are dark. You get this sense of like dark, gritty, it's a lot. And I think the way that the world has been and the trajectory that we've been on has been very dark for a very long time. So we're really confident in the show because it's a show for the family. So we have confidence in the fact that like this is a show that kids can watch with their parents so that they can start conversations.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we feel like this is a really good show, because it bridges a gap between, kids that don't understand why their parents are being embarrassing and also parents who are watching their kids change so rapidly. Like, right? Like,
yeah, I remember when we went and we saw it, and my three kids each grabbed something very, very different out of it. And one of them was only 3.5 at the time. And, he was like, oh, that was funny when you were a walrus. But my 7-year-old had these insights and she picked up on a lot of Kate's character's stuff, and then my 11-year-old kind of saw it straight through Cleo's eyes, like, oh my God. And I guess because the father was personified as her own dad doing similar things that I'll probably do at home. But she was like, oh, like, can you let that go? And the ability for them, my three kids, to talk between each other about what they'd seen was something that I didn't anticipate as beautifully as it occurred. Yeah. So that was the moment when I thought, wow, this really has a good shot to be special.
And you found that in the foyer afterwards as well, like with talking to parents too. Kids came up to us and were like, oh, you get it, thank you. And then parents came up to us and were like, you get it, thank you. Which was like, I think that's probably the most rewarding thing, knowing that it's started this dialogue.
Absolutely. And I think one of the very few good things that has come out of this period of like lockdown is that families have spent a lot more time together. And there's a really beautiful like melding of families again that hasn't kind of been the norm. And I think if there's anything that we can capture in this show, it's taking that very specific good that's come out of this time and taking that forward and being a space where families can actually share stories and actually watch something together as a shared experience.
I love that. I'm going to leave that as the final note because I think that perfectly encapsulates your project. And I think that that's just spot on. So thank you guys. That was great. So thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Q&A for Embarrassing Parents Anonymous. And I hope to see many more projects come out of you guys and see what happens in episode 2 one of these days. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.